People talk about the good old days of going to the movies and sitting in a seat for a few hours and experiencing the film with other people. And then you come to realize that the good old days of movie watching were spent confined to wooden seats that put dents in even the fattest of most Latin asses, and in the company of obnoxious assholes chewing, coughing, and making all sorts of noises in your 2.5-hour runtime. Hi y'all, Snarky J Cosplay here. We're gonna get into exactly what made last night's screening of Killers of the Flower Moon such an absolutely miserable experience, to the point where I had to walk out of this 3.5-hour movie that admittedly I really did want to watch. But before we get into this incredibly well thought out and very measured and sane rant,
sure, Jan.
Today is the big day, and we're gonna see who are our 2 lucky winners of the 2024-2025 Snarky J Cosplay calendars. So to make it fair, I'm using this YouTube random comment picker. I'm gonna go ahead and paste in the link to the giveaway video. We're gonna go ahead and fetch all the comments. We're gonna take off replies. I wanna make it fair for everybody. Loading in the comments now. And our first winner is Joshua, who left me this super sweet, really long comment. Thank you so much. I know that y'all know that I deal with a lot of nonsense on this channel, so I really appreciate your kind words. Joshua, you are our first winner of the first 2024-2025 Snarky J Cosplay calendar. And we're gonna go ahead and pick our second winner, which is Corey Camp, who I'm sure is gonna be really happy to get this news. To everyone who entered and made this giveaway such a fun experience, thank you so much for caring enough about me in costume to want to have a calendar of me. For everyone who didn't win, don't worry, I still have 4 available from this run, so if you're interested in purchasing one, you can shoot me an email, fill out the contact form on my website, or you can drop me a comment or a DM on Instagram. For my 2 winners, congratulations. Make sure you drop me a comment and we can figure out how I can get these signed and send out to you both. Now, onto the brass tacks of this video. People have been going to the movies as an event for probably like 100 years. It's something you look forward to, you talk about it with your friends, you take a date, you take your family. I mean, the movies are a mainstay in American culture. And in the past couple of years with COVID and all that, we've started hearing about movie theater chains going into bankruptcy and all these tragic stories about the thought of America without the movie theater. How could we ever cope without being able to go to the movies? I got invited to an early screening of Martin Scorcese's new film, Killers of the Flower Moon. It honestly sounded really good, and despite the entirety of the internet griping about its 3.5-hour runtime, I said, you know what? I have the patience to sit through this. And I feel like a lot of the screenings that I get invited to and a lot of the movies that I talk about on this channel are, let's be real, they're nonsense. I talk about Transformers and Star Wars and Marvel. I wanted some culture. And more than that, I really wanted some culture because I've recently been binging Mad Men, and I feel like all I can think about lately is Don Draper smoking in his office, and I said, you know what? Martin Scorcese can give me the culture that my life is missing. So I set out, I got nicely dressed, I sprayed on my good perfume, and I towed my dad along as my +1, and I said, let's go catch a good movie. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where it all started going wrong. So we set out to this older cinema in our area, and if you're wondering what an older cinema is to somebody who's 23 years old, my dad attended film festivals at this exact cinema when he was in film school in 1992, and according to him, the chairs and the theater are the exact same quality. They have not changed since 1992. So what does that mean? Well, it means the seat that you're sitting on is made of wood and has a cushion about this big, that's all the cushion you get. See, where I make up in this is that I am well endowed in some areas, and even then there was not enough cushion already on my body to save me from my tailbone going numb 2 hours into this film. Additionally, I don't know how many of you folks have been to a modern movie theater recently, but the beautiful thing about modern movie theaters is that they're now built on like this incline system where you never have anybody's big old noggin in the middle of your screen. Well, at this vintage cinema that I had the pleasure of watching this movie at, I had somebody else's ponytailed noggin blocking the screen, and every time subtitles came up, I had to be literally looking at them like this, because I had to get around the head of everybody that was in front of me, which was great. I had to do gymnastics just to read what the was going on in the movie. And you might think, Jay, how lazy could you be that you don't want to spend 2 hours trying to read subtitles around somebody's head? Really lazy. I go to the movies to get to watch the movie. I don't want to have to be doing one of these. I'm 5'3", I can't deal with it. You might also be thinking, wow, Jay, that sounds like a really uncomfortable experience. I'm sorry you had it. Oh, it gets worse. I consider myself one of the lucky chosen few that has all manner of weird quirks and tics and little mental eccentricities, and one of those things is the fact that I suffer from something called misophonia, which is sort of a big fancy way of saying I really don't like f***ing annoying sounds. So, chewing, wet lips, smacking things, I don't like sounds like that. And some godforsaken being has plopped their rear end in the seat right behind me with what I can only assume is the world's biggest fucking wad of gum that I have ever imagined in my life. I sat through 2 hours of Killers of the Flower Moon, okay? 2 hours. Do you know what that's like? Like, could you imagine just imagine this. Yeah, I know that lost its flavor. I know for a fact there was not 1 ounce of flavor left in that piece of gum. I don't give a if you chew 5, if you chew double bubble, if you got juicy fruit or that weird that's like hot cinnamon. I don't care what gum you're chewing. There is no gum on the planet that lasts 2 hours. And if through that 2-hour movie you continue to put fresh gum in your mouth to continue chewing like a gosh darned cow, you are the worst kind of person. And this is coming from somebody who like actively avoids having to go out, because if you consider it, you go sit in a movie theater and people are whispering, and where I live people whisper with a bullhorn, so something's going on. Is that the bad guy? Who is that? What's he doing? He was in Mission Impossible, right? No. Oye, ¿quién es ese? That's all you hear when you go to the movie theater. Or like obnoxious open mouth coughing. I'm like half a germaphobe, and if you haven't noticed, I'm also a little neurotic. So I don't want to hear people coughing. I don't want to see people using their cell phones. I definitely don't want to see teenagers macking on each other from the back while I'm trying to watch fucking Star Wars. Do you know how impossible it is to sit through a 3.5-hour movie where everybody is pretty much speaking in hushed tones, occasionally speaking a Native American language that I don't speak? It's quiet conversations and tension and slow droning soundtracks, and all you hear behind me is... It's maddening. Honestly, that was what drove me out. The movie, I have no complaints about the movie. I have 0 complaints so far about Killers of the Flower Moon. I owe you guys a review because I didn't finish it. I think I'd literally rather sit in an electric chair and listen to Taylor Swift's discography. With as unpleasant as I would find both of those things, I would pick that over sitting in this vintage retro cinema's most uncomfortable theater seat while listening to some prick chewing gum behind me. And for that reason, folks, I say the good old days of going to the movies are incredibly overrated. I like the new days of not going to the movies and just staying at home. Call me a lazy, petty millennial, call me antisocial, you can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner. If you need me, I will be watching any and all films from the comfort of my own house, my own recliner, with my Twilight blanket and my rockin' subwoofer. That's all from me. I've been Snarky J. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more Snarky J, feel free to check me out on Instagram, and if you'd like to support my content, be sure to check out my Patreon. I will add links to both of those in the description below. If you are one of my calendar winners, make sure you drop a comment, get in contact with me. Let's get these calendars sent out to you, and let me know your thoughts on the good old days of moviegoing in the comments below.